Well, good morning, everybody in room and online. I'd like to call to order the legislative meeting for April 20th, 2022. And I am Cheryl Strathman, co-chair, sitting in the seat for Ms. Gumbs this morning. So we'd like to start with a roll call.
Allen. Bates.
Bates here.
Brown.
Brown here.
Silva.
Silva is here.
Wallace. Gums. Strathman.
Strathman here.
Pirog.
I'm here. Oh,
Sorry, Alan here.
Thank you. You have a quorum.
I'd like to ask for unanimous consent to approve the minutes from March 16th, 2022.
Alan moves.
Do I hear any objections? Okay. So under new business this morning, and legislative updates from Springfield. First of all, we all realized that there was a shortened session this period because of the crazy year we're having with the primaries being in June. Normally they have their session until mid-May or the end of May, and this time they were done April 12th. And there were 4,000 bills introduced this year in each chamber. So we're going to cover them all today. I hope you brought coffee. Perfect. In detail, yes, yes. So going forward, the legislative committee will be focusing on the bills that affect King County, both with mandates and regulations. But I wanted to cover just a little bit of what happened yesterday, or this session rather. Yesterday, the governor did sign the budget into, he signed it, so it's all good to go. And there were some interesting focuses on from the budget this year. And it was the final budget prioritizes spending for human services, public safety, education, tax relief, and paying off debts. And yesterday, we all got an email that had the walk down, as they called it, from the governor's desk of what was covered. So if you have any questions, you can check your emails. They came from Mr. Cunningham yesterday. But some of the bills, the tax relief was a 1-year freeze on 1% sales tax on groceries, a 6-month freeze on the state's gas tax. There will be a school, back to school shopping holiday on the taxes. And then there will also be some tax relief for residents where eligible taxpayers will receive direct payments of $50 per adult, $100 per child, and a property tax rebate of up to $300 for qualifying homeowners. There were some tax incentives. There was also $500 million was budgeted for increase for funding for preschool. $500 million increase in funding for law enforcement, public safety programs, and violence prevention. Also, there was 25 million for increase for local government distributive fund, which will help us. $20 million for a new nonprofit security grant program. So all of this is available if you look online. And right now, all of our legislators are very proud of the work we've done. So if you want to see what your own legislator has done, go to their websites and you can see what their where they have had their focus and what they have helped pass. We have some education improvements. And one thing that they're including is $7 million in funding for agricultural education so that we continue to support ag in Illinois and to make sure that we continue to have ag teachers. Pretty important stuff. An additional $43 million has been allocated for adult education. And the budget also provides for $598 million for early childhood education. Under public safety, they passed a law for expressway cameras. And that will affect King County as well. They are supporting the ghost guns ban. And they have provided 4.5 million to help buy an additional 500 body cameras, dash cameras, and data storage for the cameras. And there is an additional budget allocation to hire and train 300 new state troopers that the state is needing. So, any questions? Anybody?
I have a comment.
Yes, Ms. Lewis.
So not my committee, but I enjoy listening in, actually being in person today with you, so you're not alone. I saw in one of the papers that it said, if there's not something in this budget for you, you're probably dead, because they really did put in a huge amount of effort to put in just as many things. They had that shortened window, but they really got a lot done. So I just really thank all of our legislators on the local level and the state level for just the hard work that they really did put in when they were down there.
They really did do a lot of hard work. And I know the Senate was in session until 3:30 a.m. on April 12th, and the House was in session until 6:30 a.m. So they worked really hard to get everything passed and for the governor to sign the budget as well. A couple of other things about the governor is expected to sign is a 708 mental health bill. And this was to correct not only for Elgin and Dundee townships, but other municipalities that had 708 boards. And with Elgin and Dundee, it was the question of omitting the proper wording for the PTEL so that people knew what their assessments would be. And this was passed. They expect the governor to sign this, because if this was not supported, it would have affected mental health boards all the way back to 1994. So they recognized that this was the intent of the law rather than the actual letter of the law. And so that they expect the governor to sign that. They also expect the governor to sign the workers' rights bill in Illinois, which would ban right to work legislative language. So is there any other new business? That's a lot. So if you want to look online, you got an email yesterday that gives a rundown if you need to have those numbers in front of you, if you're a visual learner like I am.
Madam Chairman, this is Alan.
Yes, Miss Allen.
I just wanted to mention something. When somebody sells a home, they have to pay a tax, and it's a percentage. And some of that money comes right to us. It's half of the amount comes right to us through the recorder's office and into our general fund. And the other half is a dedicated fund that's supposed to be used to replace impermeable surfaces. In other words, the idea was that if you're in a home, then that home is not open space. So when you sell that home, a little bit of percentage goes into what turns out to be the OSLAD program. Now, I know that that's Forest Preserve. It makes requests for that money rather than us. But the point is that those are supposed to be dedicated funds. And so I was really glad to see that the amount of OSLAD was large like it should be, because those are not supposed to be funds that any government sweeps. Those are supposed to be funds that make sure that we have natural lands to counter all of the building that we do. And I just, I don't see the background when I see the stories about OSLAD. So I just wanted to toss that in for us. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for that information.
Miss Allen, Mrs. Allen, with what action would you like that to be associated? What's the push there?
Oh, it's
Or the
just
ask.
another. It's just another accomplishment of the legislature
Oh.
this year,
I
that they restored a whole lot of OSLAD funds that should that belong in OSLAD anyway, but at least this time they aren't being swept into other government funds.
Ah, good.
I think so.
Thank you for that information.
I have something that might be considered new business. It's maybe
Ms.
something,
Bates?
may I?
Yes, go ahead,
Um,
Ms. Bates.
So this is just something to start tickling our brains with, I think. But the new CEJA bill, the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act, has a program called Solar for All that helps low-income people to get solar. And it also helps nonprofits to get solar at a much reduced price, or to have, incentives and rebates. However, the wording in the bill is that this nonprofit has to be in an environmental justice or no economic area to get these incentives. Well, we're trying to get this for the Northern Illinois Food Bank, and they are in Geneva, Illinois. So is there a way we could ask our legislators to change the wording of CEJA? Is that like David and Goliath, or is that something we could start a process on? Do you understand what I'm asking?
I'm not sure that I am totally clear. So the wording would prevent the food bank from what?
We cannot get these incentives and rebates for our Northern Illinois Food Bank because they're in Geneva. But of course, they are serving people who need environmental justice and economic help. So I'd like to get the wording changed on a 950-page bill, one sentence. Is that something our committee could initiate, or is that just crazy talk? And you and I can talk about this later.
Yeah, I think that's what we're here for when,
Okay.
when it's something that affects us and, affects the people of our county. That is absolutely what we're here for. So.
Okay, I'll
maybe we
talk to you
can-
later.
Yes, I think that's a great idea. We can talk some more about that. And
Okay.
and
I mean,
see
it's our Northern Illinois Food Bank is right here in Kane County. So let's try to help them. Thanks.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, okay, thank you. Any other new business?
Madam Chairman, Alan again.
Yes,
I just want to pile on Ms. Bates by saying that we have used riverboat money on numerous occasions to help with the mission of the Northern Illinois Food Bank. So it certainly makes sense for us to push on this as well. Good
Absolutely.
comment.
Excellent.
absolutely. And that's what we're here for, right? We're here as a legislative committee to promote legislation that affects King County. So
Amen.
Okay.
that's what we're here for. So, okay, any other new business?
Madam Chairman,
Yes, Miss Allen?
Alan, is it appropriate here to say how pleased and proud we are that Madam Chairman was able to secure half of the money we need for the Long Meadow Parkway Bridge to not be a toll bridge? And I believe that there was a comment by former Mayor DeWitt, now Senator DeWitt, that there will be an ask in next year's budget for the rest of the money. And what a triumph for our chairman to be able to pull that off. It's just wonderful. A question that I might ask is, if we want to go forward with a lobbyist to help us, would a lobbyist have been helpful in this major endeavor?
Well, I think that's something we might get to under old business here. But before we get to the old business, absolutely, I think Madam Chair did a monumental task going down to Springfield and helping to secure these funds and working with our local legislators to get this to happen. It's only part of the money, but every bit helps. And we are hopefully that next session, we will get the rest. So Madam Chair, I know you're with us. Thank
I'm
you
right
for
here.
that.
You're
Thank
so
you.
kind. Thank you so much. It was a labor of pure love and fortitude.
I bet.
So-
Absolute triumph.
And I do have to say, who was the dancer that said she would walk, Ginger Rogers, Fred Astaire, do everything that Fred Astaire did, only backwards with heels.
Yes.
With my heels on and my suit, I trudged through 3 miles of handshaking and meetings, literally 3 miles that day. It was outstanding. And it was wonderful. The synergy was there. We had incredible support from all of our state legislators. And because of their kindness and their concern for Long Meadow Parkway, as well as all the way up to the governor's office, this could not have been done without all of their help. So I was just the messenger. It was they who pulled the weight through the House and through the Senate to get this done. So thank you. But the credit is truly given to KDOT for their help, certainly for board members' advocacy, continued advocacy to make sure that the toll was removed, bringing constant awareness to us, and me being able to deliver a very important message and having voices hearing it and working on that. So as far as next year goes, let's take one small step at a time.
Exactly. Well, and thank you for the teamwork. Teamwork is what we should be about. And this exemplifies what happens when we work together. So thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Ms. Lewis?
So quick comment, Anita Lewis. As I've been listening to this, first of all, obviously kudos to our chairman, and as everybody said, all the teamwork that went into this, and listening to people on both sides of the aisle and just doing what's best for our community. But as a board member, my other takeaway is Jared Sanchez and Chris Kios never gave up on this. Every single time there was anything related to this, they brought attention to it, to the point where the rest of us were kind of like, would you just be quiet? It's done. But it's been an inspiration to me because it's never really done, and we just need to continue to advocate for what we are passionate about and what we know is right for our citizens. So I just wanted to also give a kudos to them. So thank you.
Thank you for saying that and for listening to their constituents. That's what we should all strive to do. So yes, that was a major accomplishment. So thank you to all involved in that. So, okay. The next item on the,
Bates, please.
yes, Ms. Bates.
I want to nominate Corinne for Madam Chair as our lobbyist.
Yes, because she doesn't have enough else to do.
Right, right.
I graciously decline. Thank you.
Okay.
I can't understand why.
Good. You could
You
be.
did such a good job, though.
Yeah.
So the next items on the agenda is old business, and it takes us right, what a great segue, right into the legislative liaison. So do we want to have a discussion about this?
I'll just segue straight from my last, joke a little bit, but if we did have a professional lobbyist, Madam Chair, would you still have been slogging around Springfield in your high heels for 3 miles, or would our lobbyists have been doing that professional work for us? So you could have been here doing other things.
The work of the county? No,
Yes.
that representation, Ms. Bates, would have to have happened. We are the messenger. The lobbyist works as a facilitator. So they are able to open doors, create introductions, keep their ears on the ground of what's happening in Springfield or federally. They'll be able to have you shake the proper hand, do the proper introductions, but the messenger is Kane County. So I would still have to do that.
Okay.
And it would also seem that even though you would still have to do that, Madam Chair, you would be more supported in your efforts, because who can follow 4,000 bills in each chamber and know what is affecting us and what is a priority for the county? I think that that is also part of the legislative liaison's job, is to help us discern what is going to affect us and what is what our focus should be and what our priorities should also be.
That is accurate. They connect the dots.
Yes, yes, they do.
Madam Chairman Strathman?
Yes, Ms. Bates.
Just if I may, to understand the process of legislating and the process of, I'd like to understand what happened with this, the Long Meadow funding. Corinne, did you, Madam Chair, did you call like Christina Castro, or did she call you, or how does that work?
Well,
How does it work? How did you?
Educate us.
How do you make the secret sauce?
I know, this is the sausage, right?
It's well, it's not necessarily the sausage. The sausage was the getting it through, and that was the sausage making. That was all the state legislators who got the sausage made. I just put together through help. I mean, really through help, the ability to have that happen. Like I said, I was just the messenger, and I have to say, in all modesty, in my previous life experience, I've raised money. So it's writing grants and meeting with people and persuading people on concerns and needs is something in my wheelhouse. So I kind of knew what needed to have happened. And it's my background, Mavis.
But what did the legislators contact us, or did we have to?
No, it was, I made the initial call, but
Okay.
it was well heard. It was well heard,
Okay.
very quickly heard.
Okay, thanks. Good work.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Chairman Strassman, Alan.
Yes, Miss Allen?
I'm referring back to Assessor Armstrong when he addressed us last month. And I believe what he said was, your lobbyist basically works off your list of druthers. Now, I'm hearing two things here. One is, if we had a list of druthers, like we'd like to get funding for the Long Meadow Parkway, then the lobbyist conceivably could have made appointments for Madam Chairman to do the door-to-door work she did to convince people they should give us money. Do we have a list of asks, or should we create a list of asks such that our lobbyist would then go approach the right people, get those appointments made, so that we or our delegation or our Madam Chairman could go and make those visits? So that's one task. And then the other task I'm hearing is that the lobbyists will watch the 4,000 bills to try and figure out which ones might touch us and call you, Cheryl, or Michelle, or Madam Chairman, to say, this is coming down the pike. I think it interests you and we should do something about it. So is it a two-task endeavor that we would expect our lobbyists to do?
I think Madam Chair used the term connect the dots, and that's how I see this. So you are absolutely right, Ms. Allen. It is twofold. One is for them, a liaison, to be aware of what our druthers are, and we would need to supply them with that information so that they know what the county is focused on and what we hope to accomplish and what we're working on. But they would also need to know what bills are being presented and what's happening down there so that they can connect the dots between those two sources of information, one from us and one to us. So that is some of the questions that we need to answer in order to make this decision about if we do want a legislative liaison. Now, the session is ended right now. They ended early because, again, of the crazy year we have with the primary being in June, and they will not be in session again until fall. So we have some time to work on this and decide how we want this to look, what our asks would be, who we would want our liaison to report to. And so there is some work to be done on our part before we make this decision.
Good summary. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Ms. Bates?
I think this is a funny question, but why are we calling this a liaison and not a lobbyist? Is there a difference, or is there political purpose in calling this is it the same thing?
That's a great question. I don't know the answer. Madam Chair, do you know the answer to that?
I believe that was suggested at several meetings ago, that would be the term that you wanted to use instead of the lobbyist. Appears to, if I remember, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that lobbyists seem to have had some.
Are we talking connotations here?
Negative
Thank you.
connotations?
Thank you, Mavis. I was
Yes.
trying to come up with the correct word. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Where legislative lobbyists or legislative liaison seems to be much more approachable.
A more noble
Friendly
title.
term.
All right. I was wondering if it was actually a different job or just a different name.
But I believe, and again, please correct me if I'm wrong, those who are listening who have better knowledge on this than I do, you have to register with the state, and the technical term is a lobbyist. So
Okay.
you don't register as a legislative liaison.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
So we could make that decision, that distinction as well as we work on this and decide how we want to proceed with this. So any other input on this? When I talked to Co-Chair Gums about this, we talked about the fact that because of the recession, the legislative recession, and they're not going to be back in session until fall, that we have until summer to really make a decision. So we need to do some work on this and decide. So if you have any input that you'd like us to have about this, let us know and we'll do some work on it. Is there anything else that anybody wants to say about the legislative liaison?
Chairman Strassman, Ellen again.
Yes, Ms. Allen.
It would be helpful if I knew the range of what we're likely to pay. I realize that every company or every individual is going to have a different price, but I just wondered what the range was.
I think we did talk about that. Madam Chair, can you remind us what the suggested amount was?
I cannot speak to that yet.
Okay.
Because
That's fine.
I think we need to narrow down a little bit more about what the expectations are of that individual, depending on how much work we'd like to share with them, how much, what our expectations are, and what their expectations are, because these are professionals, and they come in pretty much, I would assume we're not going to be hiring somebody who is a young startup. And I assume we would want somebody who's got some seasoned relationships, that they're going to be coming in with expectations from us as well, as a good lobbyist or any kind of consultant would. So I think we need to talk to those individuals and find out how they would work best with the county. And then they would present what they feel would be a fair compensation for their work.
Madam Chairs, Madam's Chair.
Yes, Ms. Bates?
I think we need to also understand, well, another thing I don't understand is that I think some lobbyists or liaisons, they have many clients or one. So we may be working with someone who would only be working with us on a very part-time basis. You know, they might have 5 or 10 or 20 other clients. And so that would make a difference on how much we would pay this person. It's not going to be a full-time employee. It would be like, they would be our consultant lobbyist, correct? And
That's accurate.
and maybe only work for us a couple hours a week or something.
That is accurate. I can't say how much time. It's how should I let's go back to connecting the dots. One dot could impact another dot that may impact beneficially Kane County. So the relationships get built, partnerships get developed because of this dot building that happens. So we may be doing something that may be impacting, just using as a reference, the solar panels.
Okay. Okay.
So, and they would, and that individual then would let their client know that we are giving out grants or some kind of whatever for solar panels. So it's very reciprocal and very mercurial. So we don't have, I assume we are not, and I would have no expectations of hiring a full-time lobbyist solely for Kane County.
Yeah, good. Good. So we save money too, and they have those other relationships that can be synergistic for us.
That's accurate.
Perfect. Okay.
Yes, and sometimes bills affect more than one county, and yet we can add our voice and our leverage to the work that's, in front of the legislators, so that we can let them know we are supporting. So that would be another reason that we wouldn't want somebody just working for us. We'd want somebody who's had that broad base of information and how it would affect us.
So it shouldn't be, maybe it won't be $100,000 a year as if we were hiring a full-time professional. It might be, I'm just going to make up numbers here. It might be 50 or less.
And that's
So-
something we would have to determine and then see what, where we go from there. But yes, you're correct. It would not be a full-time. We would
Okay.
not be funding their full-time salary.
Good, good.
That's my
Thank
understanding.
you. Thank you
If
for this discussion.
And if I can just quantify one thing, the lobbyist would be bringing back opportunities to Kane County. So I would say, before you have predetermined thoughts of how much or how little you feel would be appropriate compensation for this individual or this company, I would ask everyone just to put that aside and go with an open mind to see what opportunities are. Obviously, fiscal responsibility is fiscal responsibility. We're all there. We own that. It's our responsibility to do that. But please don't come in with a predetermined price tag of
All right.
what this may or may not cost, because frankly, we don't know that yet.
Well, there's the cost benefit analysis of this. So that's good advice.
Yes, and I think even fiscal responsibility could be extended out to what they would bring back.
Mhm.
What services they would, offer the county and help us with our own fiscal responsibility to everybody in the county.
If they get us another $17 million next year, that would be a good deal.
Absolutely, absolutely. So is there anything else we want to say about our talks about a legislative liaison?
Chairman Strathman, Allen again.
Yes, Miss Allen.
I don't know if this is helpful, but the Forest Preserve used a grant writer and probably still uses, if not that grant writer, someone connected to that grant writer for many, many years. And we paid a pretty modest amount. I think something like maybe, $1,200 or $1,500 a month to this person who had other clients doing the same thing. And there was synergy. And that was, I mean, this grant writer brought the Forest Preserve tremendous amounts of money, far beyond what she was paid. And it was a wonderful working relationship for, I'm going to say, more than a decade, because I think I heard about her at the very beginning when I came on board. So I think it's good to be open to this, because that it could certainly it could certainly circle around in many different ways and be useful. A question: is it possible for the committee to have time with the candidates to let them explain about what they do and how they do it and how they would charge us and so on? Would that help give us some? Could we detect candor? And would that give them credibility with us and us credibility with them? Or does it need to be behind closed doors for the negotiation purposes mentioned before, or it would just be Madam Chairman doing this work? Can I ask that procedural question? Thank you.
I think that's a great question.
I'm
And
going to,
do we have a search committee or a hiring committee?
yeah. All right. Yes, that can happen. But the devil in the details, remember, these are private client privileged relationships, very much like if an attorney. So they can't specifically questions like, how do you make this work? Tell me who you speak to. What conversations do you have? Are client privileged, and they're to be respected, so that individual can pretty much, I believe, tell you who their other clients are, but they can't tell you how they work with those other clients.
Yes, and of course, that would be true. But I think that also it would be interesting to see how a search committee might feel they connect with King County, or what their areas of expertise might be. So that's something that we as a committee might want to decide if we want to do a search committee for this. So we've got some work to do on this and decide how we want to proceed.
May I ask one more question?
Yes, Ms. Bates.
Thank you. So if we get a lobbyist, and they have to register, do they have to register all their clients as well? Or
Yeah.
not?
Yes, yes,
Okay, then it's
Yes.
public record.
yes.
Yes,
Okay,
and there's public record that's different from their procedures with individual clients.
sure,
they're-
sure, that would not be all
Yeah.
public. Okay, thanks.
So any other discussion about this?
And just clarification, a lobbyist is a lobbyist. They are registered with the state of Illinois before they can do business as a lobbyist.
Right.
So they are not going to register. We're not going to hire Mr. Smith, who wants to be a lobbyist for Kane County, and then he becomes a lobbyist for Kane County by registering to be a lobbyist. Mr. Smith will already have all of the approval from the state of Illinois to be the lobbyist. and any other. And I'm not a lobbyist, so I don't know what exactly they have to go through. So speaking, please, in just generalities, but they may have to do the same thing, I would assume, for the federal government, et cetera. So that would have to be something that we would have to make sure that they have all of that certification that's appropriate before they even get an interview.
Like you don't hire a lawyer who's not a lawyer. You
That's right.
don't hire a lobbyist who's not a lobbyist. Okay, great, thanks.
Thank you for that clarification, Madam Chair. That was important information.
Madam Strathman, I have another question.
Yes,
This is
Ms. Allen.
Alan. Would it be appropriate for us to include in our inquiries Mark Armstrong and Brian Pollock, just because they've had experience working with legislative liaisons that some of us have not? I'll tell you something, I would be willing to pay Madam Chairman a whole bunch of money to continue doing what she is doing so successfully as our legislative liaison. I would also consider doing that for Mark Armstrong and Brian Pollock, just because of their institutional knowledge about how this all works. But I'm guessing that that's not the direction we're going. I'm just wondering if we can have input from them because of their past experience. Does that make sense? Thank you.
And I'm saying this with all humor, after I get done being your Kane County Board Chair and I sit out the appropriate time, and then I register as a lobbyist,
Then you'll have a new hat to wear.
Mr. Armstrong and Mr. Pollock will probably do the same thing.
Yes.
Madam Chairman, you go right to the top of the list. I'll tell you.
Exactly. But I don't think it would hurt anything to have their input on questions we might want to ask or things we might want to consider as we look to hire a liaison for the county. I think that would be silly not to ask their help. So, yes, Ms. Lewis.
Anita Lewis, first of all, Madam Chairman, you need to train your dog first before you do other things. But I do have a question, so.
Hey. I'm doing my best here.
I know, I'm sorry.
Doggy is perfect.
I should talk, you've not met my dog. I do have a question, though. You guys are making this sound like this is a done deal. Isn't there a procedure that we have to, as a board, say, yes, we are going to have this position before we go into all this hiring of them?
How are you addressing, Ms. Lewis, that question to the Ms.
I'm addressing the smartest person in the room or on the call.
That would be the chair of this committee.
That would be.
And I was just going to defer to, I don't know if I'm the smartest person in the room, but I think that we do need to make the decision of yes or no if we're going to pursue this before we set out, all the details of it. So I think that is something that maybe Co-Chair Gums and I can contact people on the committee and find out where our interests lie and how we'd like to proceed. And then we'll bring it up in our next meeting.
Perfect.
So, Ms. Bates, did you have something you wanted to add?
No.
Okay. Okay, anything
Thank
else
you.
about this? Okay, then the next, that's my phone ringing. Apologize.
So Madam Chair, we will take this up at our next meeting. How do we make that decision of, how do we determine if we are going to hire somebody?
Yes,
Is that next meeting?
yes, we'll Chairman, Co-Chair Gums and I will be contacting people and see, get a feel for the committee and how we want to proceed and if we want to proceed, and then we'll go from there and we'll put it on the agenda for next month's meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So the next item on our agenda is the County Code 2-48. And this, we are reviewing this because it's to look at the committee structure and which offices and departments report to the different committees. And there are no departments that report directly to the legislative committee, although circling back to our discussion about a liaison, that would be something that we would have to determine as to where the liaison person would report. If there would be multiple people or how, that would be something the search committee and how we would want to handle that. But as far as the code goes, we don't have any committee that reports to any chair, any departments, I'll get it, any departments that report to us. So under the legislative part of the code, I don't think there's anything that needs to be changed. I don't know if everybody has had a chance to read it and see, but I think that it's good to go the way it is. Does anybody have any input on that?
I'm sorry, were we sent the code, our section of the code? Did I miss that, or could we be sent that in email? Our code section?
It's under the code. Did you?
I'm asking, could we be sent that? If you sent it and I missed it, I'm sorry, but could we be sent an email, the description of the committee
Just
from the code?
Sure, we can get that out to you. Just the item in the code that refers to the legislative committee is what you're asking for?
Right.
Okay.
They did that in public health this morning, I think, that, or some of these committees are doing that, and I think that'd be great.
Okay,
Since I'm not all that great at looking things up in the county code.
okay. Anybody else? Okay. All right, well, I will see to it that everybody has that information in front of you.
Thank you.
And then we will, they want to have us report back so that they can move forward on this, getting this all wrapped up with all the different departments and different committees. So co-chair comments. I don't think I have anything else to add, except that we're thinking of our co-chair, my co-chair this morning, and hoping that she's continuing on the mend and she will be with us in person soon. So I don't think we have any need for executive session. And so I'm looking.
Shall I move to adjourn?
Okay, I have a move. Do I have a second?
Alan seconds.
Miss Allen seconds. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you for a good meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. And the meeting is adjourned.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Good job.
Didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I'm just like, I'm just like, wait a minute, we're discussing, how's this gonna look, and what's this gonna look, and I'm like, wait, first of all, we have to have, you guys have to decide yes, or whoever, that we do want the position. Yes. Yes, then it's kind of go before the board.
All done.